Anyone out there that's been following the events in Odessa, Texas recently knows that right now, one thing is becoming certain, and that is we are going to be having universal background checks forced upon us very soon. This is the perfect storm for media. They finally found one example of where a private sale facilitated a mass murder. They have this person who was adjudicated. He is a mental defective. He was able to purchase a firearm through a private sale after being denied purchase after failing a background check. That's what they've been waiting for a long time. Even though millions of private sales occur and almost none of them ever result in any act of violence, they're going to use this one outlying example to demonize all private sales. And they're going to be pushing background checks, universal background checks for everyone very hard. And unfortunately, I think they're going to succeed. I don't see any will in the president or the Republican Senate to actually stop universal background checks. Unfortunately, even the gun community itself has allowed, FUDs and shills to tell them, oh, they're okay. Red flag laws, universal background checks, we're not worried about these things. They've been told that so often that they've actually started believing it. So they don't understand that universal background checks are actually just a way to track all firearms in this country, find out where they are localized, find out where they are more prevalent, and track every single person who ever transfers a firearm, owns a firearm. It's basically a registry. And unfortunately, like I said, too many shills and FUDs have been neglecting that fact. And also they neglect the fact that, like I say, millions of transfers happen. They don't result in violence. That's like saying because one person speeds, we have to put, we have to limit the throttle on all cars. So it's infuriating, but sadly, it's coming. Universal background checks is something I have in the state I live in. And I will be honest, it doesn't put much of an infringement on me. It doesn't really cause me to have any problems because I was very cautious about who I would sell to anyway, so I usually used an FFL to transfer a gun if I sold privately anyway. But that was to protect myself, not because I thought it was necessary. That was just being overly cautious. But still, I oppose them, even though they don't hurt me, because I know what they are. They are another method of control by the government. Another way they can know, okay, here's the people that have firearms. Here's the people that if we ever have problems, it's going to be from them. So if we have to take them out early or incarcerate them early, we know where to go. We know who has what. We know what's where if we ever want to seize it. That's what a universal background check is. It's a registry. And sadly, like I said, this person who had been adjudicated mentally ill and who in a system that actually functioned would have had proper safeguards, proper supervision, proper in-treatment care, out-treatment care, etc., got none of that because we have a broken mental health care system. To me, this whole thing is just an example of how our mental health care system is broken, not how private sales are dangerous or guns are dangerous. But the media is not going to portray it like that. They're going to spin it as the evils of private sales. Whereas people who know better, especially mental health professionals who know how this guy should have been being treated after being adjudicated compared to how he was actually treated after being adjudicated, because it's not quick and easy or profitable to treat people with mental illness in this country. We ignore them and toss them aside. And then when they do something heinous, we use them as an example to push agendas, or the media does at least. Like I say, because this guy was able to do this, universal background checks, I'm pretty sure are going to happen. A lot of people right now are concentrating on assault weapons bans. I still give an assault weapon ban about I'd say 55-45 chance of actually happening. It depends on which way Trump rolls, and we all know he tends to roll whichever way the wind's blowing. Assault weapons ban, assault weapons, we all know what assault weapons really means. Semi-automatic weapons ban, basically. That's likely to happen, more likely than not, but not assured. But right now I can pretty much say universal background checks is going to be pretty much a sure thing. Simply because they're going to run with this one outlying instance of someone who had been adjudicated buying a gun, private sale, and then committing mass murder. Regardless of the fact that if he decided he wanted to kill a lot of people, he could have done it other ways. This just happened to be he got stopped by police, he blast straw, he freaked out and did some really heinous things. They're not going to deal with the circumstances that led up to it. They're just going to deal with the fact that he was able to obtain a weapon through private sale, which I think should be everybody's right to control their own property, transfer their own property without the government being involved, as long as that other person is legally able to own. Now, in this case, do I think the guy that sold to him should have some liability? Possibly, because from what I've seen, this guy was someone you could sniff out immediately that this guy wasn't right. So the person who decided to sell him a firearm, he has an obligation by law to have no reason to believe that this guy isn't right. And from everything I've seen so far, this is the kind of guy you could meet in 15 seconds and go, yeah, not right. So that's a different story. I don't know. I'd have to be more involved in it, have to do a little more research before I decide if I think this other guy should have some liability. Is he going to end up being charged? Probably. But like I said, they're going to use this to run with universal background checks. Like I say, it's another one of those, I hate to tell you, say I told you so, but the way people have been talking about universal background checks and how, there's nothing to worry about, and red flag laws, there's nothing to worry about, like the bigger channels and stuff, this is what it leads to. I have a feeling within the next year, before the next election cycle, we're going to see universal background checks as the law in this country. And that is a shame, because that law is nothing short of an enemies list for the government. It is a registration, pure and simple.
Oops.
Go ahead.
Step into the lady at 46 South Rose. 46 South Rose.
Station 1 call, retone that please. 10-4. Captain 4 to go to that location also. This is 1-9, is that correct?